بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Inshallah, we are going to continue the Q&A about the rules of women, and we reach to the question. These are Q&As. We read to the question number 21. So question number 21 says, if a woman became relieved, okay, from the monthly period. So she was in monthly period, she became relieved. واغتسلت, and then she performed her ghusl because she's done now with her monthly period. So what did she do? She did her ghusl. Okay, واغتسلت. She performed her ghusl. وطافت, performed her tawaf. ثم رأت مقدارا من الدم. Then she saw some amount of discharge, blood. فما هو الحكم? فما هو حكمها? What is her ruling? So the answer is إذا كان الدم الثاني مكملا لحيضها لم يجتزأ بما أتت به من الطواف على الأحوط. Okay. وإن كانت استحاضة فلا شيء عليها. So like women, they know their rules. So after the monthly period ceases, then she sees blood. So there are rules that if it was in 10 days, it will be monthly period. If it was out of the 10 days, like from the first day she saw the blood till the day she saw, it was over 10 days, like 11th or 12th days. So we backdate her period, and it would be like only the days which she normally encounters the period. So this is something which depends on the woman. However, if it was in the 10 days, then it will be considered period. And there are some detailed rules. The women, they know their rules. So the say this and answering the madallo in two ways. This blood which she saw, it could be istihada, such as if the period exceeds 10 days, that means the period was only the regular days of period. The rest was istihada, which is non-periodic blood. That means does not go into the state of metaphysical impurity. So she can do her tawaf, but by performing her duties as istihada, non-periodic discharge. So he says, if the second blood, because she said that after she did the ghusl, after did she tawaf, she saw some amount of blood. If the second blood was completion of her monthly period, okay, that means the monthly period stopped, and then after some time it came, but it was all in 10 days, for example. Then all what she sees in 10 days is period. So that means even the time where there's a gap, no bleeding is there, it's considered the days of period. So therefore she is going to consider whatever she saw. If it was in 10 days, it will be period. For example, the example I gave you, less than 10 days, more than 10 days. So what does that mean? That means she performed her ghusl and she was in period. She performed her tawaf, she was in period. She performed her salat of tawaf, she was in period, but there was no blood. Yeah, but when the blood came after, that shows that she had some pause, because the period, the discharge of the period, sometimes it goes through some sessions of pauses and then comes back. So means that paused period where there was no bleeding, it was from the period of the monthly period. So he said it will not be sufficient, okay, So whatever she performed from the tawaf, it will not be sufficient or valid. That means on the base of obligatory precaution. That means she will have to, after she's relieved from her monthly period, she purifies. She have to redo that thing on the basis of obligatory precaution. E- Even though, or sorry, وَإِنْ كَانَ استحاضة, and if it was not, if it was after 10 days, or if it was after the the discharge continued over 10 days, so we backdate the sum of the days which were inside the 10 days, not from the period. Anyhow, it was not from the monthly period. Then there's nothing, because she performed her tawaf and she was pure. Question number 22. Um, so this woman, she is doing a precautionary measure. Now we mentioned in the chapter of haid that the precautionary measure, because the woman doesn't know it's haid or istihada, so she will combine as a precautionary measure. She will do whatever a woman who is in the istihada supposed to do, like ghusl plus the salat and tawaf and whatever, and she will avoid whatever a woman in the monthly period should avoid. So she should avoid whatever a woman in monthly period avoids, and she should perform whatever a woman in the istihada performs. So she combines. So let's say this ihtiyat in certain cases, say this Sistani has this type of ihtiyat, obligatory precaution. So let's say if this woman was combining between these two things, إذا كانت إذا كانت المرأة تعمل عمل الاستحاضة والتروك الحائض. If a woman, she was performing the whatever someone in the istihada, which is post-periodic blood or non-periodic blood, does. Okay, whatever she does, whatever a woman does in istihada, and whatever a woman avoids in hayd. So she was combining. إذا كانت المرأة تعمل عمل الاستحاضة وتروك الحائض. If a woman, she was performing the acts of whatever a woman istihada does, and avoids whatever a woman is in monthly period avoids. هل يجوز لها الاستنابة للطواف إذا كان ذلك وظيفتها أو لو كانت حائض. So here is the precautionary measure. Does the precautionary measure require from her to do the tawaf as well, because she doesn't know it's haid period or non-haid? So she is combining between the practices of istihada and of prohibitions of haid. So now prohibitions of monthly period. Now, so here she is combining these two things. So where will the tawaf fit? Will she do the tawaf because she is practicing as mustahada, or she will avoid tawaf and avoid entering Masjid al-Haram because she is practicing haid as well? Haid and istihada, monthly period and non-periodic blood. She's doing a combination. Many times women, they do where the blood is not clear, or her situation is in a way that she doubts that this is haid or istihada, and she's not from those who have a fixed period or fixed duration, or those kind of fixed monthly period women. So anyhow, so what is her ruling? So the answer: إذا كانت ملزمة بالجمع بين الأمرين بمقتضى الاحتياط الوجوبي لمرجعها. If she was doing this combination due to the direction of her marja, that due to this combination was based on obligatory precaution, as I said, precautionary measures are to combine. But what? Not by herself, because her marja had directed her. بمقتضى الاحتياط الوجوبي لمرجعها. Her marja had mentioned to perform this ihtiyati wajib in a certain case, to combine. So she did that, but what would she do with the tawaf? Would the tawaf go in the section of istihada she has to do, or will the tawaf go that she has to avoid avoid? So the questioner asked that إذا كانت ترك الحائض. So um, here he says if she was performing the combination between these two things as a necessity required based on the obligatory precaution required by her marja, then the delegating someone to perform the tawaf and the salat of tawaf on her behalf will be against the measures of precaution, obligatory precaution. Because the question said, if she is in that state, can she appoint someone? Because she may be pure and she may not be pure. So turuk al ha'id mean things a woman should avoid is entrance of Masjid Haram. Obligation to perform the acts in the if a woman she's in the istihada is she needs to do the tawaf. So she's between the iron and the rock situation, or like cash 22 situation, that she has to do the, if she's mustahada she has to do the tawaf and salatul tawaf. If she is in period, then she cannot enter the Masjid Haram, let alone she cannot do tawaf and salatul tawaf. So what should she do? What, and she's doing ihtiyat. So what is the most appropriate obligatory precaution in this case? So he says, um, sufficing on delegating someone to perform the tawaf and salat of tawaf is against the obligatory precaution, because as we know, let's say the Sistani Damadullah is very peculiar about ihtiyat wajib, obligatory precaution. So if that's the case, I mean, he said that delegating someone in performing the tawaf and salat al-tawaf mukhalifun lil ihtiyat al-wujubi, it's against the obligate measures of obligatory precaution. فلترجع إلى مجتهد آخر. So she needs to refer to another مجتهد مع مراعاة الأعلم فالأعلم, with taking into the consideration the knowledgeable which you are going to refer to should be the knowledgeable after your marja, based on أهل الخبرة, people experts in the hawza, both houses of Qum and Najaf. So he should be expert, not any John, Dick and Harry or something like that. No. مع مراعاة الأعلم فالأعلم. So this marja decides, say the sister says, I cannot decide in certain case that she should consider hayd or istihada. So if so ihtiyat is to avoid whatever someone in the hayd should avoid, like entering the Masjid Haram, tawaf, and do whatever the obligatory precautionary measure is for a woman to do in certain cases, that she she performs she cannot perform her tawaf, but she has to perform this the tawaf and salatul tawaf if she was in istihada. So what he is mentioning here, that she needs to refer to someone who is next in line, مجتهد آخر مع مراعاة الأعلم فالأعلم, with taking into the consideration the most knowledgeable after the most knowledgeable. So what does he say? She will apply that ruling. يفتي بكونها مستحاضة أم حائضا. So that marja would either declare this mustahada, the non-periodic bleeding, so that means she will perform her obligations, أو حائضا أو حائضا للتخلص من الإشكال, or he will consider it a monthly period. So that marja needs to be deciding what is she under mustahada or under haid, under non-periodic bleeding or under the periodic bleeding. Okay, so she can relieve herself from this problem by referring to most knowledgeable of the knowledgeable. Okay, question number 23. امرأة حاضت ثم طهرت فأحرمت فأتت بأعمال عمرة التمتع ثم رأت الدم في يوم عرفة انقطع قبل مضي 10 الحيض فما هو حكمه. So this is another ruling which is more specific, that the bleeding she saw after being pure and after doing the amal, the bleeding she saw was um, before passing 10 days. So what is the ruling? So basically, uh, she she encountered haid, monthly period. After that, she became pure of metaphysical impurity. So she performed the ghusl. The haid or the monthly period stopped. And then she purified, obtained purity, like she performed her ghusl. And then after that, she entered the state of ihram and she performed the amal of umrat al-tamattu. And then after that, ثم رأت الدم في يوم عرفة, on 9th Dhul Hajj, once they are going to go for Arafat, and whoopsie daisy, she encountered monthly period. Or he says that رأت الدم, she saw blood on the day of Arafah, and it ceased قبل مضي العشرة, عشرة الحيض, before the completion of the 10 days of Haid. So what is the ruling? الجواب: يبدو أنها أتت بأعمال عمرتها في النقاء المتخلل بين دمين محكومين بكونهما حيضا واحدا. She performed her عمرة التمتع, her أعمال of عمرة التمتع, in between a pause, because it was all in 10 days. So whenever it's all in 10 days, that means everything is a monthly period, unless she is sure for yaqeen that it is not a periodic blood. In general, everything is period, whatever is in the 10 days. So she said that she performed her amal of umrah. Okay, the answer is, he says, it appears that she performed her amal of umrah min al-naqa al-mutakhallil, from the purity which was in between the two bloods, because the question is that she saw the blood and then she saw blood again. So he says that يبدو أنها أتت بأعمال عمرتها في النقاء المتخلل بين دمين محكومين بكونهما حيضا واحدا. It appears that the a'mal which she did for Umrat al-Tamattu was in the pause, which is normally between two monthly period, and في النقاء المتخلل بين دمين محكومين بكونهما حيضا واحدا. Both of the bloods, they are judged as one hayd. Why? Because it was all in 10 days. So, because the question was before passing of 10 days, okay, all this happened. So he says, وفي هذا النقاء خلاف بين الفقهاء. So this intermediate pause between two bleeding, the scholars, they have difference of opinion. فالمشهور, most popular opinion is أنه حيض. It is حيض, it is monthly period. وقال جمع أنه طهر. So the majority of the scholars, okay, or the most of the scholars, they said it's monthly period. Okay. فالمشهور أنه حيض. But there are some scholars, okay, uh, والبعض فالمشهور أنه حيض وقال جمع أنه طهر. Some scholars, they say No, this the few, she said majority popular opinion is that it's monthly period. Okay. And a few, they said that it is not monthly period. So he says that بين الدمين محكومين, it's just that one haid, and this kind of purity, the ulamas, they have two different opinions. The popular opinion is that it is haid, it is monthly period. وقال جمع إنه طهر, and certain ulamas, they said it's pure. إنه طهر فعلى تقدير كوني حيضا تكون وظيفتها قد انقلبت إلى حج الإفراد. If we recall the when a woman, there are times when she is not able to go to the miqat and all those, so she can just convert her ihram to the ihram of Hajj al-Ifrad. فعلى تقدير كوني حيضا, let's say it was حيض, assumingly, eligibly, or assumingly that it was حيض, تكون وظيفتها قد انقلبت إلى حج الإفراد. Then her responsibility would be that her عمرة التمتع has been converted to حج الإفراد, and فتأتي بالعمرة المفردة بعد الفراغ من أعمال الحج. So she would perform the عمرة مفردة after completing the manasik al-Hajj. That's Hajj al-Ifrad is like that. It requires Umrah Mufrada, but whenever she can do it, it's not a combination with the like the way it is in Umrah al-Tamattu. So Hajj al-Ifrad, Umrah Mufrada, it's opposite. Hajj al-Ifrad, Hajj first, then do the Umrah. Yeah. So وظيفته قد انقلبت إلى حج الإفراد. Her responsibility has been converted uh, to Hajj al-Ifrad if it was hayd, that intermittent period. فتأتي بالعمرة المفردة بعد الفراغ من أعمال الحج. So she would perform her umrah of مفردة after the أعمال of Hajj إن تمكنت منها, if she was able to do. وعلى تقدير كونها طهرا. So we have two hypotheses. The guy said that intermittent purity. Now this intermittent purity, is it hayd or it is purity, the state of purity? So hayd, we mentioned the scenario. Now we are mentioning the scenario of it was the phase of purity between two bloods. That means the period was long enough for two bloods. So he says that وعلى تقدير قوله طهرا طهرا فعمرتها صحيحة. Her umrah will be correct. وتأتي بحج التمتع ولا شيء عليها, and she will perform the Hajj of Tamattu, and there is no problem there in it. Okay. تمكنت منها. Yeah, that's عمرة المفردة. إن تمكن منها ولو على تقدير كوني طهرا فعمرتها صحيحة. So if it was طهر, that means the 10-day period between two hayd. Okay. So if it was a minimum 10 days, if it was in, like, she, if it was judged tohor, that means it came after the 20 days or something like that from the first period. وعلى تقدير كونه طهرا فعمرتها صحيحة, then her umrah is correct. Okay, if that pause, intermittent pause between two hayd or two bleeding, hayd and another bleeding, so that intermittent thing, فعمرتها صحيحة, if it was if it was طهر, that means period of purity. فعمرتها صحيحة وتأتي بحج التمتع. So her umrah is the tamattu will be correct, but she will have to perform the Hajj التمتع. ولا شيء عليه, there is no problem. ولما كنا نحتاط في هذه المسألة And since we are performing observing احتياط in this ruling, فإن رجعت المرأة المذكورة إلى مجتهد آخر مع رعاية الأعلم، فالأعلم يفتي بكون النقاء المتخلل حيضا أو طهرا فوظيفته واضحة. The same thing as previous question. So he says to me, to us it is احتياطي واجب. Where did it go? وتأتي ولما كنا نحتاط, since we are observing this ruling based on the obligatory precaution. Okay, لما كنا نحتاط في هذه المسألة فإن المرأة المذكورة فإن رجعت المرأة المذكورة المجتهد آخر. So if a woman, this woman, she has problem, she referred to another مجتهد. Okay, فإن رجعت المرأة المذكورة إلى مجتهد آخر مع رعاية الأعلم فالأعلم, with observing the most knowledgeable after the most knowledgeable, يفتي بكون النقاء المتخلل حيضا. And that scholar gives fatwa that the intermittent period, in the middle period of two bleeding, is hayd. Okay, يفتي بكون النقاء المتخلل حيض, or no, يفتي, he does he gives the fatwa that he judges that it's purity. So either he judges that it is hayd, or either it judges it is pure. So ويفتي بكون النقاء المتخلل حيضا أو طهرا فوظيفته واضحة. So our responsibility is clear. We had mentioned before. If the mujtahid considers, the next in line mujtahid considers that bleeding to be pure, okay, then khalas, I mean, she doesn't have to worry about anything. فوظيفتها واضحة. She'll perform her manasik as a pure woman. But however, the question is, if the intermittent thing was considered monthly period, what should she do? وَأَمَّا إِذَا أَرَادَتْ الْإِحْتِيَاطِ. However, if she wants to perform the precautionary measure بالأعمال المشتركة, such as performing the a'mal which are for the high istihada and the Hajj. So he says that وما إذا أرادت الاحتياط فعليه الاتيان بالأعمال المشتركة بين حج التمتع وحج الإفراد بقصد الأعم منهما. So if she is going to perform the precautionary measures, then she is going to do the أعمال of حج التمتع, the common أعمال of حج التمتع, and what? حج الإفراد. بين حج التمتع وحج الإفراد بقصد الأعم منها, as a general meaning, which is نعم. فعليها بالاتيان بالأعمال المشتركة. So she will perform the combined أعمال between what? Between حج التمتع وحج الإفراد, because she's in عمرة التمتع في إحرام. So she will intend both بقصد الأعم منها. نعم. وكذا الذبح في منى الذي يختص به حج التمتع بالرجاء المطلوبية. Even the slaughtering, the sacrifice in Mina, which is associated with Hajj التمتع, based on the hope of its requirement. وكذا الاتيان بعمرة مفردة برجاء المطلوبية إن تمكنت. And also she would perform an umrah, independent umrah mufrada, with the intention of hope of its requirement, if she was able to do that. إن تمكنت منها. Yes. I think we will stop here, and inshallah we'll try to continue in our upcoming session. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.